This is Persephone, and today I want to announce that we're going to take a small break from constant fandom posting and general drama posting because we're not one-dimensional, and I want to start talking about other things in the channel as well that may or may not interest you. And today we're going to talk about some of my personal stuff because I know how much people love, personal drama. I know because I'm also watching other people's channels. Some things about narcissism and some things about I'm going to call it spicy work for YouTube because I'm tired of the demonetizations. I'm sorry, but ever since I started having a bit more of an online presence, maybe it's the 30,000 subscriber mark, maybe it's the fact that I'm back on Facebook, maybe it's the fact that I was banned from almost every forum and that gave me some kind of reputation. A lot of people message me to talk to me, and the most common question asked is, do you enjoy what you do? And I'm going to tell you some things that you like and some things that you don't like, because I have autism, and between feeding delusional fantasies and mass psychosis and being honest, I will choose the autism path, honestly. So it's the same as every job. Some days I like it, some days I don't. But there aren't any days where I don't get up and do what needs to be done. That's called professionalism. I always like comparing sex to food because it has many things that you can use to make nice comparisons. So it's like asking a chef at the restaurant every day, do you enjoy cooking? He enjoys cooking, otherwise he wouldn't have become a chef in the majority of cases. But that doesn't mean that there aren't days where he's tired, he's angry, he has a personal problem, he has toxic clients, and he doesn't want to cook. But he still gets up and he cooks. I say that because I'm tired of people reducing sex workers, digital ones, because that's what I do, so that's what I'm going to talk about, to this one-dimensional, almost hentai or cartoon character that she can't wait every day to get up and hop on camera or chat up with men or find every man that approaches her attractive. If I had $1, every time an Asian guy hears that I like Asians and he thinks that he has, not that he has a chance with me, that I'm going to be more excited to meet him than he is if I would meet the Dragon, let's say, or BTS, I would be a billionaire. So I'm sorry to break your fantasy, but when someone has to get paid to interact with you in a sexual way, it's not usually because they like you or they're into you. They're not. It's their job. Unfortunately, this is an industry that has a side filled up with horrible, insecure people. I have met some amazing people in this industry, like cam girls, cosplayers, dominatrixes and so on, but the majority that I've met, at least, are fakers. They're telling everyone what they want to hear, oh, I love my job, everything is perfect. And in my opinion, that's disastrous, because when you enter this job and you expect this amazing situation, you get you land inside lava, kind of a volcano, you have a very rude awakening. So the next question is then, why do you do it? Why do you say on YouTube that you work 16 hours straight, that you don't have days off, this and that? And the answer to that is that I have narcissistic parents. I had a lot of videos about this matter and I took them down for 3 reasons. 3 reasons, actually. Reason number 1 is that I was getting messages from empathic people saying that they watched the videos and they made them cry and they triggered them, despite the fact that I was putting trigger warnings on the videos. And last thing I want is to put more pain into people's already painful lives. The second is that it was forcing me to face things that I was not ready to face. Hopefully now I'm more ready. And the third thing is that it gave the specific predators the illusion that, oh, I'm going to message you and be like the Tin Man in the White Mule and say, let me rescue you. My mother is the malignant narcissist and my father is the enabler that essentially got into mass shared psychosis with her. And I'm not a mental health professional, I'm just going to be sharing with you things that I read and they helped me and I find interesting, and I'm going to give you the resources so you can go back and read. So Dr. Sam Vaknin talks about shared psychosis, that if someone is a partner of narcissist for many years, in order to survive, they often start adopting the beliefs and the mindset that the narcissist has. And I think that's exactly what happened to my father, and I have extreme respect for Dr. Vaknin, and he's one of the people that I admire the most on the planet, because for the longest time I had this cognitive dissonance of sorts, that not even in the therapy that I did for myself and the therapists that I saw, they couldn't explain it, that my father before 10 years old and my father after I was 10 years old, it's like he was a completely different person. And there were psychiatrists who told me that it's because when you are a child, you idealize your father and your parents, and our brain keeps to like the best memories only and romanticizes the past or even makes up memories, but it never sat well with me. And now I realize, I think at least it was because my father, until I was 7 or 8 years old, did not live with my mother most of the time. My mother was like a teen mom, she was mostly in college, so we saw her like a couple of times a year, mostly in her college, like school holidays kind of thing. So we didn't really have her toxic influence directly in our lives, and he was more of himself. Then after she came back, everything went downhill. So there came a point 2 or 3 years ago that I had tried 2 or 3 dozen civilian jobs. By civilian, I mean non-sex working, non-spicy jobs. And I realized that the amount of money that I needed to escape, even if I worked 3 jobs, it would be very, very unlikely that I would manage to save it. And by amount of money, I mean not necessarily money to buy luxuries, because I'm the opposite of that. I'm a very Spartan, very minimalist person, and because of all this, I get a lot of sensory overload, so I don't want a lot of crap around me. But the fact that the jobs were underpaid, and if you wanted to move to a different country, they would not allow you to save up fast enough, because I was seeing that my mother is becoming worse and worse very rapidly. And that was also happening together with what was happening with my ex-mother-in-law, who's like also a malignant narcissist. And I was looking into ways to make a lot of money fast. Doing the job that I do now was the only way that I found that was 100% legal. I pay taxes into countries and no one can say anything in terms of you're not going to land in federal prison, if you know what I mean. In the meantime, what happened is that I witnessed not only my mother when I was busy doing that, but also several other narcissists started to deteriorate extremely fast. And by deteriorating, I'm going to give you like examples because I don't like speaking with generalizations. This is kind of going to be everything is out there from our own kind of channel. I'm tired of covering parasites, abusers, criminals, and other parasitic entities. What happens? I don't know if karma exists. In a spiritual way, I think that there is a pretty high chance it exists, but I'm going to stick to the facts, okay? I'm not going to share things that they are my conspiracy theories unless I label them this way. I believe in cause and effect because it has a scientific and a medical point. So in my mother's case, she always had eating disorders, like she had bulimia, she had anorexia, and she had binge episodes in between. And if you ask Persephone Kaman, she has every eating disorder in the book. I didn't know that either. Eating disorders actually can change forms, and one person who is anorexic can go through a period of bulimia, then go back to anorexia, then go to orthorexia, which is obsession with healthy food, and so on. So when she was in her 20s and in her 30s, because like I said, she was a teen mom, her body could still keep up with that. And even in her 40s, because my father is a very big advocate of paleo diet and clean eating and working out and stuff, so she couldn't really bring a lot of junk food in the house. Once she became like 42, 43, the first thing that let go was that she was smoking in secret all of her life. By in secret, I mean we knew that she's smoking, but she was always downplaying how much. She developed like very deep wrinkles and her skin became terrible overnight. She developed a bunch of health problems, like she was constantly sick. She contracted the virus that must not be named because it demonetizes videos, and she was in hospice for a month. She almost died. Of course, because herself is her first priority, she did a number of tests that confirmed that her metabolism is pretty much immobilized. Like I don't know if there is any way to activate it back. She has ruined her metabolism from constant purging, dieting, eating too much, then going back to another purge, and so on. And for someone that I was shamed all of my life, and I developed anorexia as a teen for being fat, I'm going to tell you, this is so goddamn satisfying to watch, this downfall. And I wish I had a time traveling machine to go back to my younger self when I was 17, 18 and suffering and in the gutter and hopeless. And I never stopped fighting, but I could feel the hopelessness creeping in when you see them and your abuser and they are young and they are healthy and you think that this is never going to end. So now She is in the hospital again and things are not looking good. And the best part of it is that she did it herself. I didn't even have to do anything. And that was after years of refusing mental help, refusing to help yourself, refusing interventions, and causing problem after problem after problem. And there was a time that I was so desperate that I was watching an interview of Elizabeth Smart, who is, in my opinion, a very gifted woman who was abducted and sexually assaulted, and she had a bunch of crimes happening to her within the course of 9 months before she was rescued. And she said she decided that if she couldn't do anything else, she could at least outlive her abusers, and that would be her revenge. And I remember watching this TED Talk of this extremely strong woman and thinking, holy shit, my mom was a teen mom, and maybe I won't even get to outlive her. And now I'm thinking that I was exaggerating, and the person that I have in front of me, the person that abused me in unimaginable ways, that I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make these videos and put trigger warnings that I don't know if YouTube is going to accept them or not. If it doesn't, whatever. But this person is actually quite pathetic. I realized that I have to do whatever it takes to love my mother from a distance that is going to be a couple of countries away distance, because in the same country, you never know what's going to happen to you. I say all that, not in a sense of boo-hoo, poor me, pity party for one, the suffering Olympics and all of that crap, no, but because I want to help people understand where I'm coming from, and that understandably so, sometimes people think that why are you doing something, like why are you so greedy, why are you so money obsessed, why do you sacrifice so much to do this job? Because you do sacrifice. You win a lot of things, and for me the things that you win are more important than the things that you sacrifice, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. But when I started, I didn't know that. When I started, I was thinking, I'm going to succeed or I'm going to die, but I'm not going back. The hate and the injustice of the fact that if you let these people, they're going to steal your life. I see now that there are so many people that they are internally out of control. My mother is also externally out of control at this point, but it wasn't always the case. When she was internally out of control, it wasn't that obvious, and they try to regain some sense of power and control by controlling your life, especially if you are their child. So if you don't rule your own life with an iron fist, someone else is going to be more than happy to jump and do it for you. And the decisions that they're going to take, they're not going to necessarily be good for you. Maybe they're going to be very bad for you. Maybe they're going to be destructive for you. I'm saying this because I have a lot of people watching this channel who are in bad situations. I have a lot of people who are messaging me. I have 20 people per day messaging me and saying, how can I do what you do? And some of them are in pretty tragic situations. There was a woman who messaged me, an AMWF woman, like she has an ex who's Korean and she's white, and she has a son, and her ex hasn't paid a dime in child support. AMWF to love my food, and she's about to lose her car, or she already lost it. At the end of the day, I can only tell you what I did, what I read, and possible things that I can think of, and you have to make your decision what is going to work for you. But I can assure you of two things. Thing number one is that no one who does the job that I do, or almost no one, does it because they're just this nympho girl who jumps out of bed happy every day. Most of the people I know who do it or who want to do it are in pretty dire situations. And I was also in a pretty dire situation. If I wasn't doing this, I would literally be dead right now, for reasons that you will realize in upcoming videos. And the second is that if you want to fight monsters, you're going to have to get dirty one way or another. Don't be like those people who are telling me, I want to make a lot of money, but I don't want to do anything that endangers me, anything that may affect my future, and anything that compromises my principles. And I'm like, oh, so nothing then. Forget all of that crap, it's time to make money.